You guys are tuned into S&M Radio. I am Shannon, and joining me is Mark.
Good evening.
This episode, we are going to be talking about another recent movie. We're going to be talking about the 2014 movie that came out last year, another horror comedy called Zombeavers. That's right. It's a combination of zombies and beavers.
And you and I think we were kind of having a moment of, what do they call that, synchronicity, because when you brought up that we would do this one next, I was actually going to bring it up too, because I kept seeing it pop up on Netflix, and I'm like, you know what? I bet you that would be a good next one for the show. But like, I hadn't gotten a chance to watch it, so I finally watched it this morning at 4:30.
Which is crazy. Yeah, this was one of the ones we did. We covered Wolf Cop a couple of months ago, and if you listen to that episode or even the last episode, everybody is well aware of the fact that I am a huge fan of that movie. And as a follow-up from the Wolf Cop episode, Wolf Cop 2 is currently in production. It will be coming out next year.
That is awesome.
Anyway, as far as campy B horror movies go, when I first saw it, was actually like the artwork for Zombeavers, which is the artwork that we're using for this episode with the bikini clad girl and the zombie kind of, or the zombie beaver kind of torpedoing at her crotch area. I was like, oh, that's going to be so horribly cheesy and just perfect for the show. And I watched it. I think I saw it probably 2-3 weeks ago. Right, it was like the day that I was like, "Oh, we got to do this movie. I'll let you know how it is." And then, like, as I was watching it, I'm like, "Oh, it's great."
Yeah, I was actually very pleasantly surprised with this one. This one was quite a fun watch, which surprised me because, you know, I mean, it really was an entertaining little piece of B movie cinema. I mean, it had great little monsters, typical story, cabin in the woods kind of thing. You know what it seemed like? It kind of reminded of The Evil Dead. Did you get that vibe from it?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it sort of had that same kind of feel once everything's really started getting rolling. Not right away, but after the whole everything started actually happening within the house, when the Zombeavers really started coming to play, then yeah, a little bit. And it kind of had that same tone a little bit, because this one, along with a lot of the other movies that we really like, has a lot of practical effects, and it's a lot of fake blood everywhere, and just gratuitous gore and stuff. Man. But yeah, I think it exactly had that same feel as Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead.
You know, the thing that was kind of cool was the were-beavers, especially that one blonde girl when she gets a beaver tail.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty funny. I thought it was actually pretty entertaining. I thought it was short too. Kind of like everything happened real quickly. Where do we start with this one? Where do you want to start, at the beginning?
We should start at the beginning, because I think the setup at the beginning is pretty funny, really.
It was hysterical. Yeah, especially when they hit the deer, and then the guy goes out to check goo and guts and blood and stuff just dripping off of the grill of the truck, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't think he made it."
And the premise of the story is pretty simple. There's this really small group of girls, 3 girls. They're supposed to go out into the country to have a girls' weekend, and they're like at one of the girls' like cousin's cabin or something. They get out to the cabin. The first thing they do, of course, is they go skinny dipping. They're out swimming in the like river, even though I think they were trying to make it off like it was supposed to be a lake, but I don't think beavers live in lakes. They go out and they see this beaver dam. They go like, "Oh, beavers are so cute." And then they go to see the beavers, and then they don't see any beavers at that point. Cuts to later on in the story. You know, it's a few hours later. It's dark outside, and lo and behold, you know, of course, their boyfriends show up at the cabin to try to scare them, and then the Zombeavers come into play.
They do, and the Zombeavers are awesome. They're basically puppets. And they can take a whooping too, man. They get sliced up, stabbed, jabbed, and they're still coming at you. And the one girl, and then the one that was up on the table, and she's stabbing it in the head. Oh man,
Wasn't that one like cut in half and had like a knife like sticking out of its head, like stuck to the table? And
yeah, exactly.
Still wiggling around and blood oozing everywhere. And it's like, oh.
Yep. Then you got the local hunter guy who's kind of like what would you say, like kind of the guy that helps save the day for the most part.
He reminded me of the old crazy Goonie guy from like Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, yeah. He kind of had that vibe.
Yeah, he was the whole "don't go over there. Something's bad's gonna happen.
Yeah,
you're all gonna die. I tried to tell you." He was that guy, and of course, he comes into the story later on and kind of has I fucking tried to tell you. And
then they have a little side story going on where basically one of the girls, her boyfriend cheated on her, and she's got this picture of him with this other girl, and you just kind of see the back of the other girl's head. And it turns out that girl is her friend who's with her. So they've got that kind of little thing going on there, just to, a little extra drama in the story. So then they end up, what'd you think of his demise in the bathroom?
Another cheesy B movie from 2014. So of course we have to have another penis incident.
Yeah, he gets chewed up pretty badly.
The one thing with this movie that I thought was kind of funny. So the beavers got turned into zombies, and as in most zombie movies that that if you get bit by a zombie, you're going to turn into a zombie. This movie took it just one step a little further. Not only did you get turned into a zombie, you got turned into a zombie beaver.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Beginning of the movie, they're hauling toxic waste. That toxic waste gets thrown into the water where the beavers are. So that turns them into the zombies. I think we already addressed that. And then when they bite somebody, they turn into the human turns into a zombeaver, like a werewolf / zombie. They should have called this movie Werebeavers instead of Zombeavers.
Werebeavers.
So it kind of fell into that. Just like you said, they turned into kind of like a hybrid of human beaver monster type creature.
They got the tail and they got the teeth.
They got the eyes too, like
yeah, that's right, like the creepy dead like fish eyes. The other thing with this movie too is, like, not to spoil the end of the movie, but the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie do tie together perfectly.
Oh, they do. They absolutely do. And the best way to put it without spoiling it is do not use your cell phone when you're driving.
Yeah, maybe they should they could use Zombeavers as a public service announcement for that.
Absolutely.
One of the other things that I wanted to talk about with this episode was, because I knew the movie was really short, and I figured that the two of us would both enjoy this movie. Hot girls, naked, in the water, zombie beavers, and then all of a sudden you have hot naked girls that are zombie beavers.
That's it. Yep. That's the formula, and it worked quite well.
The other thing that I thought we could spend a few minutes talking about is, even though this is kind of on the tail end of
very good. I like that.
The zombie craze that has been going on for the past couple of years, which kind of picked up after the vampire craze of the whole True Blood and Twilight. They tried to really romanticize. There was, then there was all these other vampire movies over the past couple of years. It seems like the zombie movies have really been picking up. And one of the things that I noticed too was they even tried to romanticize the zombies with the movie that came out a few years ago. I think it was something called Warm Bodies or something like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It never really took off, which I don't know how you're going to make a zombie sexy.
No, I don't. That is a pretty difficult feat.
But the zombie craze really has been picking up over the past few years, and I think it's kind of slowed down now. We've had things such as, you had the blockbuster movie World War Z with Brad Pitt, which I still refuse to watch because, to me, I've been a zombie fan forever. Whenever I think of zombies, I always think of Romero. Zombies are supposed to be these lumbering, dumb, dead people that are just looking to eat brains. They shouldn't be these like sprinting things that you have to like try to escape from, like they were portrayed in World War Z. But there have been some good zombie movies. There have been some crappy zombie movies that have come out over the past couple of years. I know that the two of us have different views on the show The Walking Dead. There have been some other good movies. There's been a lot of remakes of stuff. One of the movies that I did want to talk about just briefly that I saw probably a couple years ago, there's a fairly good zombie movie, is this movie called Zombies. It's a foreign horror movie, but it's one of these ones where they kind of take a spin on a story and flip it around. So you have this group of friends become zombies. I don't remember exactly how they became zombies. It's this little tight-knit group of friends, and they don't actually realize that there's anything wrong with them. And as they become sick and they become zombies, they see that there is something wrong with everybody else, all of the people who are normal. Okay. So it's kind of weird. It takes this it takes the perspective from the zombie of like, whoa, what's going on with everybody else? Why are they doing what they're doing? It's kind of a horror comedy too, but that was one of the good ones.
For the zombie movies, for me, I stick pretty close to just the Romero films. I think those are probably my favorite, at least the first two for sure. The Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, the original, and Day of the Dead, I guess, is kind of a fun one. Not quite as creepy as the previous two, but I wasn't never a real huge zombie fan either, to be honest with you. The first one I ever saw, I remember, was late at night watching Night of the Living Dead. I always thought that was pretty creepy, so I think that's probably my favorite one out of all the zombie flicks I've ever seen. I wasn't too big on the whole zombie craze that occurred, like, after the Dawn of the Dead remake came out, and 28 Days Later, and all of that, and I Am Legend, and seemed like a lot. It was like kind of like you said, it kind of blew up and got real popular again. And the Walking Dead series was good, but yeah, I probably stick with the first two Romero films for my zombie picks. I never did see Shaun of the Dead. I know that one's got a lot of good.
Yeah, that was when that came out, I tried to watch that, and
So what's your favorite zombie flick of all times? What one that sticks out the most for you?
I'd probably say like Day of the Dead. Zombie Strippers, that's a pretty good one.
I never caught that one.
I actually did see that movie a few years ago, and if I remember right, it's nothing more than gore and boobs.
There was one I always wanted to check out called Shockwaves from I think it was like the early 80s. Do you remember that film?
Shockwaves.
It was like Nazi zombies that were underneath the water, and something wakes them up, and they come through. I remember the trailer, like on the old VHS tapes.
Oh yeah. That was the one. Yeah, where they were like come out of the ocean and stuff.
Yeah, right. Speaking of that, have you ever seen the Dead Snow movies?
I have only seen like part of the first one. Zombeavers, what do you say to that? You give that one thumbs?
I'm gonna have to give it thumbs up for sure for that one.
Cool.
I put it in the category kind of like along the lines of Wolf Cop, where it's one of those movies too. I think I'd appreciate it a lot more if I didn't watch it alone. I think you got to have some friends with you when you watch that, a couple of beers, some popcorn, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely give it a thumbs up. What about you?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I was actually thinking the same exact thing when I was watching this. Like, oh, this would be a great movie if me and Mark were watching this together. Yeah. What I do is a lot of times when I watch these movies is because I have girls I have one who is a teenager and one who's almost a teenager. When we're home, they're usually like up in their rooms on their technology, playing on their phones or playing on their laptops or whatever. If I watch these movies like on the big screen, it's usually when my wife is off doing something, and then I'll be watching it on the TV. It's all just kind of be sitting there by myself watching this movie, and usually the dog's hanging out with me on the couch, interacting with the dog as I'm watching it. I'll be like, "Oh, did you say that was gross? Oh!" Zombeavers, we both give it a big thumbs up. And so anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back in a couple more weeks with another episode.
And we will see you then, and make sure to watch your beavers. I said watch. I didn't say wash.